What up, peeps? Welcome to the thekisscapadespodcast. I'm your host, John Telewa, aka the Kiss Bandit. And in this show, we explore the key elements that shape our fulfilling existence, from health and well-being to financial success, meaningful relationships, and the pursuit of happiness. We cover it all. Our guests include experts, professionals, and everyday individuals who have remarkable stories to tell. Tune in to learn practical tips, gain valuable insights, and discover strategies for personal growth and transformation. Whether you're seeking to improve your health, build your wealth, enhance relationships, or find lasting happiness, we got you covered. Welcome to today's episode. Another amazing episode with, of course, a very, very special guest. I reached out to him on TikTok, saw the content he was doing, and I'm sure even for him, once I reached out, he was asking me, so now what would we talk about? I was like, bro, you're already doing like so much content that's actually closely to podcast related. And, hopefully in future you'll start giving us longer episodes.
We do. Yeah, I aspire to get into that level where you are right now.
Listen, I'll take the compliments when they come my way. I'll never say like, no. But anyway, just tell the people your name, what you do, and then we can just take it off from there.
All right. Thank you, John, for hosting me. I have to give you the props.
I appreciate
You're
it.
doing a wonderful job. I checked out your channel. And those who haven't should definitely check it out.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, my name is Samuel Kagwe. Mm-hmm. I am an entrepreneur, or I am trying to become an entrepreneur. In fact, I would actually describe myself as a multipreneur, which simply means I'm trying too many things. I'm trying to find the right fit in the business world. Yeah, I'm a content creator, or at least aspiring content creator again. Mm-hmm. I don't want to put titles on myself. Let other people do that. Mm-hmm. I am a mathematician professionally. I am a musician. What else? In terms like this is when you try to look forward.
You have to throw all of them there. All those credentials are necessary.
There's the last one. I'd like to be a politician in future.
Hey, listen.
Yeah. So.
You guys know where your tenders will be coming from.
If you see my face on the ballot, make sure Kagwe for governor.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right, so what did you study?
Industrial Mathematics.
That's crazy because I have so many different people on the podcast. This is the first time I can say for sure, Industrial Mathematician.
Industrial Mathematician.
What's that? If you can break it down to just ordinary mwananchi so that they can know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, so industrial mathematics is a very tricky, what do we call it, course. Because number one, we were the first cohort to do it in Kenya. There was no other university that had offered it before. We were the first cohort. And that meant that even the lecturers didn't understand what it was actually about. And they were telling us, if you want to do your master's, you must go to Germany. You can't find... But as we continue to do the course, we realized that it was very, very much similar with actuarial science. So it is maybe a more general version of actuarial science.
Yeah.
And generally teaches you to optimize different things. So you can optimize what electrical engineers do. You can optimize what civil engineers do, using mathematics. You can optimize operations in an aviation company, etc., etc. Yeah.
That's in a very interesting lane. But now, if that's something that you're studying, I don't know if optimize, that's what you mean, now what you'll pursue, if you're to do, okay, first of all, are you going to do an 8 to 5 with what you've studied?
No.
No?
No.
So you're going to input, are you going to make sure you use the skills that you're studying in the career field or entrepreneurship field that you're trying to get into as you find your lane?
Maybe. going to campus isn't usually just about the course that you learn. It sort of expands your mindset to a lot of other things. And just like I mentioned, the challenge with the lecturers is also the same challenge with the employers, I found. That you'll approach a certain employer, but then they've never heard about industrial mathematics.
Yeah.
So you have to explain to the person who's supposed to employ you, you know. And the other challenge I realized is that, studying mathematics is very tricky because you either become a teacher or you become an advanced, scientist or something. There's no in between. But I'm sure, since then, the other cohorts that have gone through the course, maybe they've found other applications for it. Maybe they've improved it. I'm sure they have.
Yeah.
But personally, I decided that I want to get into entrepreneurship. I was employed, like I mentioned before, I was employed in various companies, but the one that took some time in was as accountant. Yeah, and generally that tells you how I couldn't really explain even to employers what they can employ me for.
Yeah, like this is what I can do for you guys.
Yeah, so the best, they said, you studied mathematics, you can do the accounting job. And that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, and to say the least, I enjoyed my time in employment, but I could sort of draw a parallel line, in what I was doing, and if I jumped into entrepreneurship, and I compared the journey and the end result, and I decided to jump ship. I decided, let me get into entrepreneurship, and I've been doing that now for a while. I would describe myself as a founder or running a startup, but again, that is lingo that has become overused, So nowadays, I just prefer to say I'm in business, or I'm trying to get in business. Yeah, so I have had a number of businesses fail. Let's avoid the word startups. Yeah, and maybe I'll tell you more about that as we proceed.
Because the thing is, also I've noticed with, if I may say startup, by the way, like over the past, I think, is it 3 years or 2 years after COVID? Like a lot of people are getting funding for their projects and everything. Like when you say things that failed, if you're just to paint a picture for it, because I think I also met somebody like 2 or 3 weeks ago, who were here, and I asked them, like, what exactly do you do? They said they have a startup. And then I was just like, another startup again. I didn't even ask him what the startup was for, because I was like, I know way too many people who talk about like startups, but how is that like now? Even I think they posted something yesterday on the news about a guy who got funding, and he got, how much money was it? He got funding to open like apparently like a club or something in Kenya. I don't know if that's something that so from the UK,
I didn't
he
see
just
it.
pitched, and then it became like a headline thing because he was given so much money just from his pitch. And then I was like, okay, so I'll go open the club. I think this is something that seems like it's gonna work for us, so why not?
I talked about this in one of my TikTok videos, and I was explaining, I think the Kenyan market, we have grown up with so much access to the US and the UK market that we are kind of deluded into thinking we live in the same market. So every guy who goes to campus, especially guys who study anything related to IT, computer science, you are deluded, you are convinced that you can actually build a unicorn, which is worth $1 billion.
A Facebook, an Instagram,
But the truth is, where our economy is and where our market is, our problems are smaller. Even, you can identify the right problem, but you can build the wrong solution for it. And you end up failing, not because you did not have the right problem, not because your solution was wrong, but because it was just too big for our market. So we need that balance where we approach the problems that we are facing in our society and in our economy from the level we are at. Yeah, not everything needs an app.
Because I think also if I was to add or ask something, it's like, how many people do people even get funding in Kenya?
Small, less than 1%.
And that's crazy, because if you say 1%, how many other people are out here studying, and that's the same thing that maybe they're chasing and hoping for funding to bring this idea into life. And of course, maybe they don't even have access to, because if we talk about overseas, you're going to compete with, Chinese kids who start like tech when they are old, 5 years old,
Yeah.
coding 6 years old. So I mean, what are they supposed to do? Because as much as yes, we're saying that, but people still keep going to school to study about all these different things that the market might not even reward them how they're expecting to be rewarded.
Look, I think it's not wrong to build such solutions, but getting into that space with the mentality that the only way you're going to grow is through funding, that is where you're going to go wrong. I have gotten to the space where I actually understand that customer revenue is actually the best way to build your business.
Very true.
So, guys, if you're in campus and you're aspiring to build a company, go ahead and do it. But just lose that mentality that you need startup capital. You need
$1 million.
Yeah, you don't need that. If your idea is actually legitimate, your solution is actually legitimate, and people are going to pay for it, then you can actually build using the revenue that you derive from that.
Yeah. So now, since you found yourself in accounting, like in companies and stuff, did that influence you in any way and how you're thinking about like taking your next step as an entrepreneur? Whether it's, I don't know whether in accounting, was it receiving checks, balancing books? What else is there in accounting? I'm just trying to think of all the things that people would do in companies.
Okay, it was maybe a little bit simpler than that. It was actually a school. So I would manage the fees that come in, paying the bills and whatnot. So I actually liked the security that came with that. You know, I was...
Guarantee paycheck.
Yes, I was in my early 20s. And I had a good paycheck at the end of the month. People respected me.
You can plan for things.
Yeah. Teachers actually respected me very much. You know, I'm the one who's handling their salaries.
Oh, by the way. Yeah.
Going into the bank, meeting the manager, for them. It was a good feeling. What I did not like was the fact that I didn't have my time. Even as an accountant, I had to get in at 7 a.m. And sometimes I would find myself leaving at 6 p.m. And now I also mentioned I'm a musician.
So that, of course.
Sometimes it would feel terrible. My band says we need to meet. I can't meet. So that was one of the aspects. Maybe a little bit a naive reason to want to get into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, a legitimate reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I think time is everything. And I mean, I've always even said it like on my podcast, like I used to be the person who was working all the time. And that's why like from my Instagram, like I never delete posts that of the things that I used to. I don't want anything to be used against me like later
You're
on.
better than me.
No. I'm like,
I deleted everything.
That's what people do. That's what a lot of people do. But I think even for me, it's just because like once I got into a certain position, I was like, you know what? I really tried to think. I was like, is there anything that could destroy me that I've put like... I was like, no. Where I am right now, I'm just in a position where I'm okay, I'm comfortable, and not everyone can get to say that, by the way.
Sure.
Especially if you're doing things that are super, super formal, contracts, partnerships with companies. You really can't say you don't care about me. You have to clean that like social media. It has to be. Not today you're taking shots. Kesho sijui in Mount Kenya doing what, and then you're still supposed to post some company representatives shaking hands. It can't be. So it's kind of tricky, but at least I think just for my case, time is the one thing that I realized later on is like, now I have so much time to do a lot of things that I'm passionate about. I can allocate time to invest on something. It might be even small. That's the craziest part about like entrepreneurship. I can wake up and say like, let me go and do something. I think this can make me like 5K. It's 5K you didn't have. When you're in an office or you're doing your 8 to 5, just getting that 30 minutes or 1 hour to do something that's super small, it's almost impossible.
But guys, remember, we don't want to, throw stones for those of you who are in the corporate world.
Oh, no, we are not.
It's not wrong at all.
We are not.
I mean, entrepreneurship is not better. In fact, it's worse.
Before you get to where you might actually be homeless.
You're working 24/7 most of the time.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing that I realize right now, is that I perhaps maybe also got into it because of identity. I was struggling a lot with identity, as many people do. And I was asking myself, when I get to 40, how do I want people to define me? How do I want to define myself?
Yeah.
And I realized I don't want to define myself based on a job. And I think entrepreneurship gives you that freedom and that flexibility to sort of jump from A to B and C to D, and you're not going to be to have a tunnel definition of yourself.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is what I also like about entrepreneurship.
True. For me, I'd just say time. I won't even lie. Time, and of course, once you establish yourself, like, I think, okay, and I think I also understand why, like, even at the highest level, people like Warren Buffett, you still see them like putting on their suits, waking up in the morning and going to do something, either a meeting, a speech, talk to other people. Time is so valuable. I don't think, because the craziest part, like, I did 8 to 5 for probably more than 7 years. Yeah.
How was it?
Horrible.
Why would you say
Nightmare.
horrible?
No, there was money, but like now when I'm talking about time, I didn't have time to go and see family. I was making money, but I don't even understand how I wasn't progressing in any way. Because how, like, your check is coming. So it kind of like you always even spend with the advance payment before the check comes. So you're always in this cycle. You just have enough to go back to work.
There's this concept I've come across recently, revenge procrastination. I think a lot of people who are in employment struggle with that, where you get home, you take a shower, prepare a meal, before you're done, it's already 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And you end up staying awake just so that you can reclaim the little
Try
time
and
you
just
have
try to, yeah.
yourself. So I really did not want to be that way.
Yeah.
Right now in entrepreneurship, I might find that I have a lot of things to do, but I can decide, I'll take care of that tomorrow. And no one is going to do anything.
No, that's true. And I think that's why when you're talking about something as simple as just like, you mentioned, what did you just mention?
The revenge.
The revenge procrastination, right? And that's why I was trying to say, like, and that's why you see, like, on weekends or Friday, people always excited about, like, hey, it's Friday. Because once they open those doors from the offices on Friday, they're like, yo, to the pubs, if it's to meet this friend, if it's to do what, but you'll always realize, like, with entrepreneurs, they're never excited much about it. Because me, public holiday is a public holiday. To you guys, me, it's just another normal day. A normal weekends, it's just a normal day. It doesn't mean anything to me, but I think that's so special. And of course, like we said, we're not influencing people to leave office jobs. But I think if you have a taste of that for more than a year, it will be really hard for somebody to convince you to go back to an office.
I think most Kenyans actually have some sort of understanding about business. Because I think in one of your podcasts, you mentioned about how everyone has a side hustle.
Yeah.
But now, I'd be remiss if I don't mention that there's actually a difference between entrepreneurship and having a side hustle. Having a side hustle is not entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Having, entrepreneurship is about intentionally wanting to solve a certain problem that you have analyzed and you think would actually give you some good returns, not just in the short term, but also in the long term.
Yeah.
So you going and getting some pairs of shoes that you can post on your status to sell may not exactly be categorized as entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's not entrepreneurship. Very true. Very true. That's a random post that you're just trying to make extra money. Entrepreneurship, you need a little bit more structure.
But also on the other side of the coin, I think if you've done that before, if you've explored that type of business side before, it would be very easy for you to advance and now get into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
If you describe yourself as an entrepreneur and you've never really done any of that, then I might have a few questions.
Yeah, like, is it really...
Bro, are you really sure you're an entrepreneur? Because there are steps to it. Even, sometimes you don't even know what you don't know, but you sort of graduate through the steps and realize that, I need to approach it like this.
also, if I was to ask, like when you just decided to like take the entrepreneurship journey, were there times like you started having like second thoughts on like, hey, am I being serious with life? Am I really taking the right step?
All the time, even now.
Am I really doing the right thing? Yeah, hey, entrepreneurship can, and that's why when you say it's like almost like a 24-hour job,
Even right
your
now,
mind is.
my mom will ask me, "What do you say you do again?" There's a day she asked me, "Why don't you just look for a job like a normal person?"
Please, like a normal person.
Yeah, and
because even Hash is frustrated now on your behalf.
On my behalf, yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes times are good. Sometimes when they are bad, they are bad.
Very bad. They're very bad. But I also would want to ask, because you've also like talked about like also like just finances at times like on your TikTok in maybe 1-2 videos that I also noticed. But just how important is it like just as an entrepreneur to, of course, definitely plan finance? Because like we've said, I've had people on the podcast who said like and I was even concerned by because they said, I didn't feel, she said she was stressed and she wasn't happy with her job, so she quit. And then I asked her, you realize when you're telling me you had already moved out. So I asked her like, so what was the plan on how you're going to pay rent? And she said, I don't know. I was like, and I explained to her, I have never quit any job. I've always been fired. I've never quit any job. Because I was always like, quit and then how do I pay rent? But I always knew like in corporate, if you get fired, you get 3 months pay. That's in a good, let's say just corporate job where you've signed, you've done like your paperwork and everything. They have to give you like 2 months, 2 months pay, and the extra one was, I can't remember what the name was, but it was almost roughly like 3 months. So even if you're tired with your job, I'll give you like a tip. Don't quit. Just don't show up for a week. The next week, come in 2 or 3 days. No, they have to give you like a warning letter first of all. Because you're not just told go home. Go home, it's where you don't have paperwork. But if you have paperwork, it's like, hey, Kwani, what's up? What's wrong? And then just don't show up the next week again. So now if they need to fire you, they'll call you to HR and then it's like, okay, I'm so sorry, we have to dismiss you.
But guys, those are proper companies. Don't do that.
Oh, no. And that's what I'm saying. Like, these are proper companies. But even if you like have an exit strategy, I'm just saying if you have an exit strategy, you can do that. But I'm not advising people to do that. It's just like, okay, that's just the story of my life. I've never quit any job by the way. I always used to get 3 months pay. And then after that, I figure something else out. But that was a rough life. I don't think I would recommend it for anyone.
All right. So your question on finances.
Yeah, like how important is that and just planning as an entrepreneur, especially when you have like these uncertainties? Because in business and entrepreneurship, there are so many uncertainties.
I'm going to begin at this point where I'm going to share 2 conflicting perspectives. So the first perspective is you can actually tell how healthy someone is with their finances, not based on their spending, not based on their investing, because that is actually very hard to see, but based on their spending.
Spending habits again. Tell me about it. Let's talk.
But then the other side of the coin is this. As an entrepreneur, I actually believe it's in my bones. I think my efforts are better spent in trying to make an extra amount rather than in trying to save. And I know a lot of people will disagree with that.
Hold on. So no savings.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying...
Just to clarify.
Savings are very important.
Yeah.
Very important. But I've always had that as a mantra or whatever. If you tell me, save 10,000 this month, extra 10,000, I'd rather think, how can I make an extra 10,000?
Than save the...
Than try to cut down my lifestyle.
Okay.
So they are very conflicting perspectives, yet I embody both of them.
Okay.
So I embody the side of, track your spending, but then it's not really about the savings. It's about generating more income.
I had someone on the podcast. What did they say? I think I'll be posting their podcast a week or 2 weeks from now. She said, tumia pesa ikuzoe. And then I was just like, no. But I was just thinking like, it can work for some people, but for me, like just contrary to what you've said, I cut down on cost for so much. Yeah. But now I've changed, of course, because situations have changed. But people who knew me then, I would just give you a breakdown of everything, tell you like, hey, I can't spend on this, I can't spend on this, I can't spend on this. I really used to cut down like completely.
You know, I ascribe to the thinking of Morgan Housel. He's the author who's written The Psychology of Money. He has a podcast on Spotify that I listen to.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been able to draw from him over time is that you can actually tell the person you're dealing with based on how they spend. You can be able to tell what kind of a childhood someone had based on how they spend.
True.
If someone goes and buys, clothes extravagantly, this person probably grew up with some scarcity around clothes.
That's true.
And who are you to go and tell that person that you're wrong to spend your money like this?
Because it's coming from like way back.
And they're having some sort of satisfaction out of it.
True.
But then again, you'll realize that most of the things that we spend money on, even when you're being extremely careful, there's usually some aspect of signaling in it.
Explain that.
Subconsciously, the things we buy, we are trying to tell other people, think of me this way. Even your most reasoned spending.
Yeah.
You go and you buy this type of shoe and you rationalize it in your mind and you say, these I'm actually going to be using to go to important meetings.
Certainly. Yeah.
But in real sense, there's a way you want people to perceive you when you go into such meetings.
Into that meeting.
So, in a nutshell, observe how someone spends their money.
Yeah.
You'll be able to tell a lot about them.
But now that brings in, also opens up like a different conversation. And, this can be even with friends. It can be with loved ones, people in relationships or situations, where let's say if you are going to go for lunch and, on a normal day, you'd go and spend probably 300-400 shillings. But when this friend of yours invites you for lunch, that's when you decide you want to eat glazed steak, mashed potatoes, I don't know, with some mushroom sauce on the side and all those things. But, I don't know where that would fall in what category.
That is signaling.
That's the signaling as well.
You want them to think of you as a person who spends as much.
No, but remember, this is the person who's paying for it. I'm just trying to, I'm the one, let's say I'm the friend. I've invited you for lunch. It's like, I'm buying lunch. And this person just orders and orders and orders. And they have no clue or remorse on how this bill is supposed to be paid.
You probably also did a poor job at communicating the limit.
Oh, no. You underestimate how people are out here. You don't have such friends? You don't?
No. And I go to lunch a lot with different people. Even when if we had decided to meet before this podcast, we'd probably had met somewhere to eat. But I would have found a way to communicate the limit. Yeah,
like, okay, this is what we can.
Yes, we are. Even the first thing.
How would you communicate? Because let's just be honest. Like a lot of people in Nairobi, I won't say mannerless, but there are a lot of people who really don't have manners. Zero consideration. True. Have you ever had, like, that's why, let's be honest, haven't you seen people like in blogs and news every time, people are like somewhere they couldn't pay a bill for Sijin, somebody overstayed in a hotel, they had no clue how it's supposed to be paid, or somebody ate something and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know it's that expensive. I'm like, you ordered steak, high premium steak, maybe a bottle of wine. There's a bottle of wine you can get from 2,000, 1,500. Somebody ordered a bottle of wine that's probably 8,500. And they did not know that bottle is 8,500. How? Or maybe you've never gotten those phone calls of like, Aki, we have a bill here. Can you help me?
I've been called, but I haven't personally found myself in such situations.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's a little bit. I don't have enough experience to answer that question. But what I was saying basically, when we get into a meeting or a lunch date with a friend,
Yeah.
I'll say let's have coffee. I'll make it very clear that in this meeting,
coffee.
it's coffee.
Okay.
When I'm feeling a little bit like a spendthrift, I'm going to say, okay, you can order a meal.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I mention that so that if you go ahead and do your own thing, I'll have told you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, I feel like it is more in the arena of men wanting to impress chiles.
Yeah, probably. With drinks, that happens a lot, I think.
I've never even found myself in such a situation, especially
Never?
with drinks. Maybe it's because I don't drink.
Okay. Because in that world, I'm telling you, if that was like a space you've experienced, you'd look at people and then you'd be like, I think a lot of adults are very, very responsible.
I've seen a lot of memes. I paid 40,000 for someone for just hugging me.
Yes.
How,
Yes.
bro?
Because honestly speaking, like, and that's why I'm always telling people, like, people always saying like it's very expensive to go out. When people say that, and I'm always telling them, you can go anywhere in Kenya. It's not expensive. You can drink anything in Kenya. It's not expensive. You can eat anywhere. It's not expensive. But the moment you include one person with that scarcity mindset who's trying to overcompensate with things that they lack in their life, it becomes a total disaster. Because they'll order this, they'll order that, they'll order this. Because they're trying to just, like you've said, relive like things they haven't experienced. They didn't have this, and now it's just, or maybe somebody like, even when we go to that, how would I call it, field or area of entertainment, like you invited somebody, they'd come with 2 or 3 friends.
There's a statement you've mentioned.
Yeah.
To me, as pesa ikuzoe.
Yeah.
My initial instinct is to want to disagree with that statement. But if you give it some thought, there's actually some truth to it.
Yeah. Now, and yeah. I see where you're going with this.
There's some truth to it, especially if you're trying to up the quality of your life from one level to another. Sorry.
Yeah.
Say, for example, you've been using matatus. And you want to start using Ubers.
Yeah.
That is going to be a very big shift for you.
True.
So I guess that statement now becomes true in that regard. Or for example, you want to move from a 1-bedroom in a certain neighborhood to a 1-bedroom in another neighborhood.
Yeah.
You go and you actually realize when you're house hunting, these houses are worse than the one I live in, but they are more expensive.
Yeah.
How do you rationalize that in your head? Tumia pesa? Ikuzoe.
No, that's true.
And that is why I said I embody the statement that instead of, I ascribe to this line of thinking where instead of thinking now, how can I now start saving so that I can be able to, up the quality of my life to this level?
Yeah.
I will think, how do I make that extra 10,000?
Yeah, actually going back to that now, yeah. You'd rather think of how you'd make the extra money.
That is how you grow.
Yeah. Because if you think about everybody in a higher level, all their expenses are
You
slightly.
can only save so much.
Actually, to come to think of it, like when I was trying to save and everything, I never used to have anything. Like I would save, but at the end of the month again, I'm back at zero. I'm like, okay, what's the point? But I think that's now where, like I said, like I really did study like a lot during COVID because we were just locked indoors, and I was just trying to figure out like what are people talking about when they're talking about investment, planning for your future, and just having like financial strategies. And that's now when I just realized like, oh, okay, I'd rather take my time, even if it's taking like 5 years, but calculate. If money is coming in, because nowadays I'm always telling people, if you call me like Nini, me, I don't have money. My money is in assets. But if I have a reason to liquidate an asset, I will. And then you have assets that you can liquidate super fast just through the phone, but others that have to take time kidogo just to liquidate.
So I think for the sake of our viewers, let us put this into proper perspective and in steps so that someone doesn't misconstrue what we are saying.
Okay.
The first step, I think, is getting the right skills to generate you money.
That's true.
So the skills...
I skipped that part. Yeah.
All right. So I think the skills now will either get you a job or the skills will help you to create a business. Once you get the skills, the job, the business, you start to have an income.
Yeah.
Your job is to grow that income to outpace your expenses.
True.
So if your expenses are at 50,000 a month, let's get to an income level of at least 60,000 a month.
True.
And then now we can tell you, now you need to save that 10,000 Kenya shillings.
Put it aside.
But if your expenses are at 50,000 Kenya shillings and your income is at 30,000 Kenya shillings, then there's a problem. We can't tell you to save. What are you saving? You barely have enough for your own expenses.
Yeah.
So you have to think of it in that linear manner. You get the skills. Now the skills can be going to school. It can be apprenticeship.
Yeah.
It can be self-learning through YouTube and whatnot. Then you start generating the income. Then you grow it over time. Then you start saving. Now your goal for saving is not, saving does not, how do I put this? Saving is not an end in of itself.
Yeah.
But the savings has a goal to it. You're not saving, I hear people doing chamas and they're usually so pointless.
Yeah.
You listen to this person, okay, I usually give...
Chama is merry-go-round by this.
Yeah.
It's complete rubbish to me.
You give 5,000 every month, then your time comes, you get 35,000.
Yeah.
Then you go and buy with it, I don't know what.
First of all, it's something you would have done by your own. I don't even
Exactly.
understand. You can't put just 5K every month on, or even just if it's weekly, you can't.
You can.
Because you have it already.
Yeah.
You've shown the potential to get that 5 every month, or if it's every week, why not just do it
Then
on your
you
own?
hear someone
Yeah.
borrowing the 5,000. Bro.
No. No.
So
No,
that
I
is not
understand
the
that.
goal for savings.
Yeah.
Savings has a different entire, So here's how I'd put it. When you need to save a certain, there's a minimum viable saving amount that you need depending on the goal that you have for the saving. So you're not saving to buy, to spend the money. You are saving so that you can be able to invest that money in a way that is going to replace your income.
Yeah.
That is the entire goal of saving.
Yeah.
And once the income from your savings outpace your current income, then you can be a little reckless with your spending.
Now you can spend. You can spoil yourself.
You can spoil yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is how I'd want someone to take my thinking.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Also, like another thing that just even with finance and, this still ties down to math. And I'm always saying like, I've always told like my assistants, my interns, and even friends at times, I've told them like, I think at times people just don't take a break and just take a pen and paper to just calculate things. Especially like just as an adult, it's like, does this make sense to me? Does this make sense to me? And then after 10 or 12 years, where do I want to be? Will I have the same energy to go to the same job? Probably not. Yeah. And you can also be replaced by someone who's slightly younger, more energetic. And younger people don't need as much pay as you would require. Maybe if you're older,
For sure.
you have a spouse who has needs as well. If you're the caregiver, let's say the main provider in the house, taking care of the kids and everything. Which now brings in, if let's say you have, because the budgets that we're talking about, even now everything that we've talked about when you're alone. As you grow older, family settings come in, even let's say before the kids come. Now, in a setting where it's boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband and wife. And we all know like now the biggest maybe cause of separation and divorce, it's economical strains. It could either be a job, somebody gets fired. We've seen this. You get fired, you're trying to hold on to the relationship. Your spouse is not smiling at you the same way they were smiling at you anymore. It
goes back to how you started that relationship. If you met the Chile trying to impress her in the club and buying those bottles that you're talking about, then that sets the wrong foundation for
maybe
your relationship.
Maybe you had finances then. It's not even like you are nini, because think about it this way, because I've said, let's say a pilot who's been fired. these guys make like a lot of money, right? And of course, maybe the apartment where you're staying or the house where you're staying, extra big. Of course, first of all, cars. They have to have like at least 2 cars.
That has riled up my mind a little bit.
Sedan,
but I have an answer.
Okay, tell me.
The answer is an emergency fund. I talked about it in one of my TikTok videos.
Okay.
So when you're saving, the first step maybe should be to get that emergency fund. An emergency fund, guys, is maybe 1, 2, 3 months of your normal expenses that you've actually just set aside just in case.
In case of anything.
Just in case. And if you're employed and you have the emergency fund and you get fired and you get those, what did you call them?
The 3 months
yes.
pay. I don't know the term.
There's a term for them.
There's a specific term used. But
you get all that. You may find that it gives you a runway of maybe 6 months or sometimes even 1 year. And if you get fired and you scale down your lifestyle, it could give even more than 1 year. And that is more than enough time for someone to get up. So if you don't have those in place, then sure, your relationship or your marriage could be in trouble. Your lifestyle could be in total trouble. You may lose, for example, you're paying mortgage, you may lose your house.
Your house is gone.
And so on and so forth.
Most average people, I can say, and let's just also be honest about this. Anytime you open a newspaper, every single week cars are being repossessed. A Mercedes, BMW, Subaru, Audi. Those specific cars, like 5 makes of cars, every single week cars are being repossessed. But it's because like once you get in a job, and you know just how banks are, they know you've gotten a job. Of course, like that sheet comes in. The first email they send you, it's like, we know you have this job, why don't you take a loan? You can upgrade your car now. You can do this and that. And a lot of people like just finance a lot. And you know, nowadays there's lipa pole mpaka with phones.
This is the perspective I'd give with that.
So what do you think about people just moving with loans, especially?
This is my perspective on that. If you're trying to buy, let's say, a Mercedes S-Class that costs 20 million Kenya shillings, and you have the 20 million Kenya shillings with you, in an established market, what I'd advise you to do based on what I've learned is take that money, put it into bonds or something, and then take the car on loan. Because that money is going to, the interest generated on that money is going to surpass the amount of money you're supposed to pay monthly and so on. But now it's very different in our market. I try to do the same calculations, even for just a normal regular car. Let's even put it at 3 million Kenya shillings. If I take that 3 million Kenya shillings and we look at the interests that are being offered, you find, the interest on that money itself when you get the loan, and the interest on that money if you were to take it and put it in a bond, you find that the interest from the bond is actually lower, which shouldn't be the case. I'm telling you, because you find...
Hold on. Now bonds is where I'm an expert in.
Okay. What I'm saying is, on the loans, you find they are too high.
Okay.
They're too high.
Okay. I get you. Yeah.
So the
interest
banks,
rates for the loan.
Yes, the banks are very punitive.
Okay.
Maybe SACCOs are a little bit moderate.
Yeah.
But the loans are very punitive from the banks, such that they exceed the interest that you'd actually gain from the bonds.
No, that's true. Yeah.
So
I've understood
it doesn't make sense for you to take the loan.
Yeah.
So in that case, I would advise you just buy the car in cash.
Yeah.
Which in an upscale market shouldn't be the right advice.
Yeah, because that's a lot of money. If we're talking about like 20M, let's say the last government bond that was good, extremely good, like even people were like a bit skeptical. They were like, the government is going to steal our money. I'm like, file for nini. What is it called? Bankruptcy. When they don't pay the nini.
There's a word.
There's a word. Now you see finance people, you let me know the term. So I think the highest, this has to be like the highest. It was 18.4% for infrastructural bonds. So basically what that means, if we break it down and we're reducing like the cost maybe for facilitating maybe from the bank, if you're using the app and stuff, if you have a meal, 1 million should bring you 180 annually.
Yeah.
So 180 multiplied by 20, that should be 3.6.
3.6, yeah.
Yeah, about 3.6 there. I mean, you would rather pay with the dividends that you will get from the bonds and just stretch them out.
Yeah.
Just tell them like, okay, sawa, my bonds are here, but anytime the cash is coming in, let it just go straight to finance my car. But also like, that's crazy. It's a very expensive car. That's 20 million. I might split, like, even if we're being practical with your case, if you're given like 20 million, right? No. We have to, you know, because when people hear certain numbers, and I'm always asking people this, even like friends or Nini, like small interviews, even when we're just even drinking in the living room on a Friday, it's like, you know, how much money would make you happy? Because we're always talking in an economical situation where like everybody now is trying to figure out like finances, cost of living, inflation, all those things those are the main things that stress people every single day.
You've brought up a very important point of defining what success is to you.
Yeah.
You need to actually have an actual figure.
Yes.
Because otherwise, you will think you will never attain. In fact, you will never attain the success.
Very true.
And people think that sometimes for you to be successful or your success needs to be defined in the millions of dollars.
Yes.
But that's not true. Your success can be getting to 5 million Kenya shillings.
Yep.
Because you've capped your lifestyle at a certain point.
Yeah.
And you don't need to spend 100,000 every month. If you're spending 50,000 every month, that is very reasonable.
I'm always telling people that, you know, finances, it gets very interesting once you start doing it practically and seeing maybe results and stuff. And even when I'm asking those questions, I'm always trying to pick different people's brains. It's like, hey, somebody would say like 3 million would make me happy now. Somebody would say 5, somebody would say 10. Another one, it's my friend, of course, she'll see and then she'll, you know, I thought it was ridiculous, first of all. But, you know, everyone is entitled to express themselves and how they think. Because for her, she said, I asked like, okay, in a month, maybe, what would make you happy? She said 8 million. you see, like, wait. You see, even like almost you're like, Baka, you're like, eh? Baka.
What are you
No. But you see that. But I told her like, that's ridiculous. Are you serious? And she said like, and there's, I won't say the saddest part. I was like, no, I'll say it's the saddest part. The saddest part is that she was serious. She wasn't joking. And then I told her like, okay, no, relax. Because I was like, you know, not even pilots make that. You know that, right? That's not an MP's salary. That's not a president's salary. They have other things on the side maybe to make. Company owners, people who have like really. And I was like, let's be practical. She said, no, that's what's practical to me.
8 million a month.
A month. And I told her, I don't think you can be happy because before you get to a level where you're making that kind of
Big
money,
mountain.
you have the obstacles that you're supposed to pass right now, first of all. You shouldn't be here drinking with me. You're supposed to be out there trying to figure out something else because 8 million is crazy. Crazy. If you say 1 million, I'd say like, hey, that's a lot, but that's more practical. Because there are people who earn that, like people who are in high certain positions in companies, even 1.5.
Maybe she was talking about that what's that in dollars?
No. No.
It's about 5.
It's about 50,000, 60,000.
$50,000.
No, she said 8 million Kenyan shillings. And I looked at her and I was like, but I think also now like a lot of young people now, like we've said, now once you fuse something like social media in, it clouds and makes people not understand that. At times you can just, I think for my case, even like let's say before I got like in a slightly better financial position, right now with the knowledge that I have, I think if I didn't have anything, somebody gave me 5 million, I think I'm capable of flipping it and being set for life. because I know high risk assets. I know, more secure and risk-free assets that I can get into and then still do other things slowly without a lot of pressure. For me, I think 5 million right now, if I didn't have any cash at all, you give me 5M, I think I can be able to put myself in a position where I'm set for life.
I think
She said 8 per month.
Let's shed some light on
Yeah.
the compounding effect.
Yeah.
Because maybe some listeners will assume when you say you get the 5 million, then you're going to start chipping away at it very slowly, and then at some point it's going to come to zero, which is not the case.
No. Yeah.
So how compound, and in fact, most things in life compound.
Yeah.
Not just money, but skills, experience, your network, everything compounds.
Yeah.
And so
and define compound or compounding interest just for basic people who maybe, because that's also like a term that Warren Buffett uses all the time. Sure. And he's always saying like time is it's just about time.
Yeah. So I define compounding as growth that builds on growth. So if I have $1 million and I get 180,000 on the first year,
interest, yeah.
On the second year, I'm going to gain interest on 1.18.
Yes.
It will not be on 1 million. That is if you don't withdraw the interest from the first year.
Yeah.
So you need to think about the smallest amount that you can begin to compound from the level where you are right now.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait until you have 1 million Kenya shillings.
True.
You don't have to wait until you get 5 million Kenya shillings. There's apps like Zimele, money market funds all over that you could just put in, where, by the way, they've not paid me to advertise them or anything. I'm just saying.
No, you can mention whatever it is, because I think a lot of people, I've had somebody who was from a banking institution and they named different kinds of apps. So, of course, this is not an advertisement. It's just saying like, an example.
Just look into it. Look into money market funds. They are the safest instruments for, low capital investments.
Yeah.
So they are not going to give you some crazy figures at the end of the year, but they're going to give you something. And if that's what you can manage, then you can build on that. Where the risk is tolerable, you can tolerate the risks that they entail. So that is how I'd advise people to think of it.
If you're adventurous, I would tell you get into crypto.
And if
you have like heart disease, high blood pressure, all those things, I wouldn't advise you, because it has now what you see the same way he's describing. Like now it has volatility. Today you wake up, your money is here. Tomorrow your money is there, and it might stay there for a while before it goes back there. So how you balance?
Let me ask this to you: how do you maintain the cool?
Yeah,
and not to react to it emotionally.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Because now it comes with time. As long as you've and even if in stocks, it's the same way Warren Buffett would tell you, like when the stocks are low and everybody's in crisis, that's when he comes in to buy. That's when he comes in to buy. But you can't do that if you're a newbie, because now every move that you'll be doing, it will be emotional. It will be tied to emotions. There's financial crisis, the stocks are down. It's already halfway on your portfolio. Your portfolio is probably 10M. You've panicked because now it's at 5M, and then you sell at 5. And then down the year, it comes back to like the 15M. So now, but as long as you've gone through like a bear market or a financial crisis where like your portfolio was like almost like halfway done, and you've ridden through that, I think mentally you just become like a very different person. And now you don't move with emotions anymore, because at the end of the day, if it's S&P 500, it always goes back. The market always corrects itself.
It's a thing of experience. The control comes with experience.
It's experience. Because any new person that people who lose money with stocks and all those things, it's just because they do it with emotions. It's like, oh my God, there's a panic. People are selling, and then you sell yours. Once you sell, you're losing, because you're selling an asset that has already lost value.
Like for example, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Which was at 60,000 maybe 3 years ago.
16,000.
It went down to...
It was 16,000.
But now recently it has come back up.
Yeah.
So I saw
73,000 right now.
So someone was making a joke and saying the person who invested, say, a certain amount, X amount 3 years ago has the same amount, and this is the right time for them to sell. And I sat and I thought about the people who sold at a loss because they panicked.
Yeah.
So maintaining cool is a very important part of it.
That's the most important thing. And I think even like now for asset building, we also have to, because like I said, we don't have the opportunities like our grandparents used to have, like buying land. You go in the middle of like Kajiado and buy land, and then it's going to gain value, and then you sell it. You can't do those things right now because, one, you have to go check the land before squatters like pitch tents up over with spears and arrows. In fact, where do you even buy land at a cheap price right now? That's going to give you like 10x or even 5x value.
We cannot discount real estate.
No. We cannot discount, but I'll explain one thing about real estate. Real estate right now, with like, if we think about it logically, it's for people who have a lot of money. You can store your money there in real estate.
What do you think about the people who are buying the apartments in Kilimani?
They have a lot of money. How much are apartments in Kilimani?
12 million.
And above. 12. If you have 12 million to buy an apartment, you're rich. Because for one, in Kenya, we know like the median income may be, I'd say just average salary in Kenya, it's probably around 50.
Sure.
It's around 50. We can estimate it at around 50, not above that. Average, if we're talking about like just standard, or it could be lower because teachers are striking because they're getting less than that. Let's just be honest. Police who have guns, first of all, and you see their frustrations all the time. They don't even get the average salary that would be. But I think 50 would be an average where somebody would be kind of okay. Kinda. Anything above that, you're blessing. You're having a good salary.
Buying an apartment worth 10 million would take 200 months. 200 months of saving.
200 months, that's... and that's saving your whole salary.
Your whole salary.
You're living maybe in somebody else's house. You're not buying food. You're staying with your parents.
So I think on real estate, unless you're buying land and adding value to it, don't do the speculating thing.
Because tell me, by the end, first of all, we've bought it with 12M, right? Let's go with 12 million. If you've bought it at 12M, remember, you've said how many months?
200.
200 months. So after 200 months, first of all, you haven't made profit. You're making back your principal.
Sure.
And then after 200 months, now you start making profit.
And by then, people would have already probably moved on from such type of apartments.
There are better apartments have already come up. They've already better apartments coming up. So even with that, if you just took 12 million, probably 6 you put, like even if it's in infrastructural bonds, they'll give you better nini. It's less risky, more secure. You don't have to deal with people killing each other in your Airbnb or sijui like land was because you bought it at an off plan. There's somebody else coming up with papers. You know how Kenya can surprise you. But if I
think it all boils down to risk tolerance.
Real estate is not even about. I'm just saying like for real estate, I think it's for moguls, people who have like and that's just me. I'm not saying like I'm not right. I'm just thinking of like how I've tried looking at other things that can make you money, especially like online where we have like access now to stocks, to crypto and all those other things. If you bought Bitcoin probably like last year,
you're in a good place right
even
now.
Just last year, it has flipped your money. Like real estate, you're still counting 200 months. It's how many years are we talking about? 10. Close to 10 years.
A lot.
10 years, what will have happened? If you had a child this year, they'll be 10 doing tournaments. If it's soccer tournaments, if she's an artist, she's doing something, nini. And at that time, you are still waiting for your principal to get back. I don't think that would be the wisest move. So that's why, and I think if you pick like the biggest, let's pick the billionaires. What do they deal with? real estate or stocks? Let's pick top 10 billionaires. Warren Buffett,
Then stocks.
Bezos, Elon Musk.
I think it's also about the market.
Well, in what way?
In this way. There's this...
But once you've established, and sorry to cut you off, but once you've established yourself with stocks and everything else, what do they normally do? They now pick like real estate and nini, because now you have money that, what do I do with this money?
You're not interested in immediate return.
Yeah, because now you can go to more like where you can store, like now where you can store your money. It's like, okay, so I have apartments here, I have apartments here. But in real sense, you want things that can at least, like you've said, compound as well.
For sure.
Compound as well. Because remember, if you're talking about like, let's say your portfolio has 200 million and you're getting a percent for, let's say the 18.5, which we have to be practical with a government bond that exists so that people don't say like, that's just an... The government had one for 18.4%. So for 200 million.
That's...
And compound it for 10 years. Wild. Wild. Yeah.
For sure.
That's crazy. Now that means, now that comes to the conversation of where now that's building wealth now. Yeah. The other ones, it's storing, like you're looking for somewhere to store. So I wouldn't recommend real estate for someone who's trying to build. But if you're trying to store wealth,
there's this perspective of sentimental value versus financial value. So most of us have grown up knowing that, at your peak, you're supposed to buy land, you're supposed to build a home.
Yes.
And I think more people need to hear that it's okay to rent.
It's okay.
It's okay to rent.
It's okay.
If you find a good apartment, even a good standalone house, where you're paying a reasonable amount for rent, it's okay to rent.
It's okay. It's okay.
And put that money into, some other investment, and you're set for life.
In Kenya, we shame each other for people. Ati bado ana rent apartment, ana nyumba yake. Trust me. When you see people being able to rent those, you haven't asked yourself, like, how is somebody paying 100,000 for rent? How is someone paying 2,000 for rent?
And they're okay.
And they're okay. And they're okay. That's rent. That's not their expenses. That's rent only. Haven't you asked yourself, like, how is this even possible? But it's because you have to make different financial moves. And we also have to understand, those worked back then. So you can't deny yourself like access to all this new technology that has come out, new financial instruments that you should be able to use. You're not using them. They have been made for you to use. They've been made for you to use. And I think who got like the highest dividends? I think, and I'm always bringing it up, Uhuru got a dividends for NCB. It's NCBA, right?
Yeah.
Almost 940 something million. Dividends, 948 million. And this is an annual thing. That's from one company. So you see, even when you're having a conversation, let's say if you ever get a chance to have a conversation with someone like him, I don't know what the kind of questions I would have that would nini.
That is the wrong person for you to ask questions.
Maybe we talk about maybe food, like nyama, how he can tenderize meat, and we have to find some common grounds. By the way, what kind of meat do you like? By the way, what do you have for dinner?
That guy was asked in 2017 how much a loaf of bread was going for, and he said 500 shillings.
Yes,
2017.
Because he can't, honestly speaking, and remember, if you're getting dividends for 900 from one company, and there are other companies that there's no way you can know how much a loaf of bread costs. It's almost impossible.
Money is not in your periphery of
that we can't. Let's talk about something else.
And that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal, to get to a point where you don't think about money.
Yeah. Ati nani amebuy mkate how much? No, he doesn't. If he's saying 500, it's legit. That's what he thinks. Yeah.
They probably charge him that.
Actually, maybe that's what he paid for. The last time he paid for bread, he paid 500 shillings. Oh my God. But yeah,
I'd really like to get to that level where I'm simply obsessing about what I'm doing, and I don't really tie money to it.
Yeah. I think
And
that's...
there's usually that pyramid where at the bottom we have survival. And I think I'd be correct to say that for most of us in the Kenyan society, we are that level.
Yeah.
And at the top, there's
self-actualization.
Self-actualization, where now you're pursuing power.
Different things.
Impact.
Yeah. Impact. You want to go and swim with the dolphins. I don't know where.
You want to go inside the ocean with that.
Those guys who are doing with a submarine, and because they have nothing else to do. Like when Elon Musk starts trips to the moon, you're one of the people who's like, okay, I want to go to the moon, because there's nothing else to do. But also, I'm always telling people money is good, and I know just talking about money is always. And I think somebody said it, we need to normalize it. Just so that as friends, you don't get in a financial hiccup, yet I could have shared information with you that would have, not that it necessarily means me giving you money, but the information we shared during our discussion made you make a different move with your finances. It's like, okay, you didn't know about bonds. You've had your friends talk about bonds. You tried. Okay, you've had your friends talk about crypto stocks. It's like, okay, bro, how can I actually try? Because I don't know anything about this without necessarily going to study and is there a way you can simplify it for me so that I can also get into it? So if we normalize such conversations even among friends, it becomes, you grow as a team.
And when I came in, I told you the topic of finance is usually so difficult to talk about.
Because it's personalized.
And everyone thinks they know best about how to spend their money or how to invest their money. But I think that is part of the culture that we've had growing up. And I support you 100%. More people need to start talking about it. I think maybe it's cliche of me to ask the question, why don't schools teach about money? And maybe it's because money has more of a personal responsibility aspect to it. And it has to be a personal initiative. By the way, one of the best advice that I can give to the audience right now is to tell them to track their money. Even I myself find myself sometimes I'm earning and spending without necessarily paying attention to it. But when you start paying attention to it, something beautiful happens. You start becoming more responsible. You start cutting down on unnecessary expenses. So if there's one thing you're going to take from today's episode is start tracking your money. How is it coming in? How is it going out? Where do you spend most of your money on? They usually say that if you're spending more than 30% of your income on rent, you're living in the wrong place. And you can't know that until you start paying attention.
That's why I remember when I said a lot of adults at times, we do live and everything, but it's very few people who take a pen and paper. Forget, of course, we all have phones, but just take a pen and paper and write down. You'll be so shocked, by the way. Because, I've had people who are asked, okay, I know you went maybe on holiday, not even on holiday, you went a sherehe thing and everything, and you bought some other things later on. It's like, how much did you spend? And then somebody will tell you, I don't know how much I spent. I'm like, you had this much fun and you don't know how much you spent. And I can be rest assured, 2 weeks from then, that person doesn't have any money to even get them through for the month. But you can't just keep living like a kid regardless.
I want us to pivot the conversation at this point to two topics.
Okay.
We're going to talk about churches and money.
We've already clocked 1 hour. So let's go.
And we're also going to talk about...
We have 30 minutes.
All right. Family and money.
Yes.
Family, let's start with that, in fact.
Okay.
Many people struggle in Kenya with what we call the black tax.
True.
Have you struggled with that?
No. I've been fortunate enough not to be in that situation because I think I've always been in a position where someone is always doing something. My sister is doing something. My dad is doing something. My mother is doing something. So I've never been in that situation where I have to pay school fees for Nani. I have to pay Nini for Nani. Because I think also that would have it would have been like a really, not unless it was a medical emergency and where everybody has to come in. I've never had to be like, because somebody always had something they're doing. Like somebody can feed themselves. It's not that they can't survive without me. So I think that's like a fortunate position to be in. So that I can't say that.
That is a
but
blessing.
I know so many people, like you're trying to get to the next step, but when you're just about to take it, you need to send money somewhere.
Yeah, in fact, I think I've been privileged in different positions to have people talk to me.
Yeah.
And you'll find someone, for example, has a sister in high school, and it's not like the mother wants to burden them.
Yeah.
But they are simply not in a position to help.
They can't.
And you are the one who is doing well at that point.
Yeah.
But you have your own plans.
Yes.
You are trying to invest in bonds. You are trying to get to a certain amount to invest.
Yeah.
And now you have to take a chunk of it and send it for school fees.
Yeah.
How do you advise such people?
I mean, now there is where, okay, it's unfortunate, but one person has to take one for the team. Because I think even in some families, like I think if you have like, let's say, because nowadays we don't even have like just families anymore. It's just single parenthood everywhere. But, if you're fortunate to be in a family where like just your mom can just do something small. Because we're trying to talk about like building yourself as a family so that you're in better positions. Later on, maybe after 5 or even 10 years, you're good now. But if everyone can just, it's
tough to advise.
It's tough because now I don't know how I'm supposed to advise that. I've actually I was on the route of talking, and then I was like, okay, no, I don't think that would work. It won't work. Yeah, it won't work.
Right. This is how I think I'd advise someone to approach it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be constantly looking for ways to empower your family before those situations arise. So, for example, you've recently gotten employed and your sister is in high school. You can almost always anticipate that at some point, if it has not happened yet, that your parents are going to need help from you.
Yeah.
So you can, number one, try to empower them by either trying to have them get an additional source of income.
Okay.
And I think where most of us struggle in the Kenyan society is getting through to our parents. Because
that's the hardest.
That's the hardest part. Because normally information flows from them to you. Now, and I know every man gets to this point where you realize your father doesn't know any more than you do.
Yeah.
And it's usually a very beautiful point of realization.
True.
And financially speaking, most people get to that point at different levels. But once you've gotten to that level, now it is, I'd almost call it your responsibility to try and educate them to start embodying the right financial thinking to prevent them from becoming a burden on you.
Can I add something on that? Just something small before you continue. I think, and I've mentioned it in the past, and this was, I had a guest on the podcast, but she's from UK. Now the culture is slightly different. I think once you get to a certain age, like parents, not even just UK, I can even use Kenya as an example. Somalis and Indians, they always include their kids in financial discussions from a very, very early age.
Beautiful.
Very, very nice. Because now once somebody gets to a certain age, they know exactly, they're not excited about money that much because they know if I work, I can get it. If I can work, I can get it because uncle has it, dad has it, mom has it. And it's all about like just building that community and circulating like the knowledge. But in a majority of like, let's just say like the other typical Kenyan households, most people, and I'm certain about this, most people can't have that conversation about
Very
money.
tough.
Yeah, because you're asking your dad, Sasa dad, let me ask you, umeinvest, ukona how much kwa, people don't even know what their dad owns.
Even the tone that you've taken up when you started
exactly. Why? Because like, ndio mniue. Because now, like even you have the old man who doesn't want anybody in the house to know what they own.
Wife.
Even the wife doesn't know. And most of the times, even how many stories have you had where the bank is just taking property from, because nobody knew like what this old man had, but he had money, he's been working his entire life, but he hasn't shared that.
By the way, there's a government record of unclaimed assets. If your parents died, maybe you should be proactive and go check it.
It's crazy because how many people, that's what I'm saying, like that discussion is not normalized. And that's one thing I think, like what I would do differently as I grow, if I get to a point where I have kids, I have to engage them in conversations about money. Because I can also imagine, like if I have a mini me who's already understanding investments at 10 years old, by the time they get to 12, they're teaching me probably things that I don't know because they are now tuned in with the new tech. Because let's not get it twisted, we'll be the old people who now we are trying to catch up with technology. Things are coming up. They're like, okay, please explain to me. So I would want to be like their helper so that I teach them new ways or things that I know. And they'd also be comfortable enough to be like, yo, dad, there's this new tech. If you buy this, it's like maybe an implant that's being put in someone's skin and changes. I'm like, not at hizo ni mashetani. No, sit, relax. Understand new tech that's being introduced to you. Talk to your kid. But understand, bounce it off each other. Empower them early with the information that you know that can be helpful to them. Let them advance, and they will come back and teach you.
True. So the takeaway from that for the audience is it is going to be very difficult for you to get through to your parent at first. But try.
You have to.
If you're going to overcome that black tax, you have to try. But then there's this perspective that is brought in by the church or even religion in general, where you're told that it is your responsibility to take care of your family. Disregarding all your plans, all your
your dreams and ambitions.
It is your responsibility. What's your take on that?
Because now you see, when it comes to religion, and even for me, I'll just say personally, I've seen so many people like make bad decisions, especially because their faith clouds the logic. What I would say, it's logical. Because now when we touch on religion and you have a pastor who's telling you like, not at that even tithe percentage, I don't know, what's the tithe percentage?
10%.
Oh my God, 10% is a lot. 10%. Because if you're getting 100, that's 10 Gs.
That's 10 Gs.
If you're making $1 million, that's 100 Gs. Okay, now you see,
let me tell you something interesting that I've ever thought. At some point I wondered, instead of giving, say, the 100 Gs, how right would it be according to the church to take that 100 Gs and put it in, say, bonds, and then be sending them the interests?
Why not?
Or the 10% of the interest.
Oh, yeah.
But Sasa, someone might listen to us and just say, you're just trying to scheme God.
No. But that's the thing. You see, also now it gets a bit sensitive because now we also have to respect other people's cultures and values. Because it's not just about religion. It's also about culture as well. Religion and culture, they're just somewhere in between there. Because now that's when you're told, like, if you're old, your elder tells you, like, you're supposed to take care of, you're the one who has a job. So your cousins, and in this, you have to send school fees for them. It's your duty. Because wanaume in our family, that's what we do. My friend, that's culture slap first of all already. And then now you add the element, because someone who's super cultural like that, they're also super religious. So the 10% kwanza pia, it's gone. My friend, your plans are it's very, and that's what I'm saying, like, there's some things I wouldn't even know what to advise people on, because my advice would mean you have to step on people's toes.
You have to.
Because that's the only advice I'll tell you. Like, you'll have to go against the grain. Because I know that's what they believe, but if you sit down and just be logical about it, I'm not going to see a pastor drive a Range Rover and my dad is on a Toyota 110. I can see it.
Or even foot to Bishi.
Or even on foot, by the way. Okay, let's not even ignore, because like a majority of people are just walking. That's why I'm saying, like, the car example was just those ones of, like, even if we have a car, but why is this guy driving a Range Rover with the money we've worked hard for? Because he'll say, like, mimi mtumishi wa Mungu. So it's hard for me to understand that, but also understand when these people are in the congregation, do you see the crowds of people who are there? I would respect them, because that's what they believe and everything. But if I was to advise them, I would say, like, I just think otherwise. Just take some time out kidogo and
I want us to zoom out. I
Yeah.
was talking about that in my latest TikTok video.
Yeah.
How the wealthier societies are less religious.
Yeah.
So Kenya, I wish I could show you that graph.
Yeah.
So on religiosity, Kenya or Africa in general is somewhere at the top here.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have a curve. As it goes like this is how wealthy the societies are.
Yeah.
So Africa is almost at the bottom of wealth,
Yeah.
but at the highest
With
of
the
religiosity.
Yeah.
And a case study that I was discussing is Spain. It was on Citizen the other day. I came across it on social media. And people are absconding church in Spain. And they're trying to explain that and say, oh, the people really didn't feel comfortable being asked for money in church, and so they started not going to church. But the truth is, these people have actually attained a certain level of wealth that removes that
Yeah.
proclivity to depend on church.
Yeah.
And I was comparing two images. The first image is the distribution of churches in Kibera.
A lot.
And then the distribution of churches in Lavington, which is just on the other
Just
side.
on the other side, yeah.
And I was asking myself, what is the correlation between religion and poverty?
And who do you think prays the hardest between those people?
Bro.
Yeah. I can hear the crusade from Kibera when I'm here.
You can.
When they start, there are those ones who go with the drums and everything. You can. You will hear them.
So
I think
I
they
think
pray a
I'm
lot.
going
So you
to
can't
step on
tell
toes
me,
on
you can't tell
this.
me God is not listening to their prayers and then he's listening to these other people's prayers. And they pray probably 3, 4, 5 times a week. It's just one of those things that
Oh my goodness.
I think, and that's why I'm saying, it's just maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just because we are breaking out of a certain generation where we start questioning a lot of things.
But here's what I found out. Religion doesn't actually cause poverty, but it sustains it.
Oh.
It sustains it.
Okay.
And on the plus side, maybe on the positive side, what I found was religion tends to lessen the effects of poverty on people because it redirects their attention.
But also, now here's the thing, because even if we were to break it down, because now we'll have to use examples. Somalis pray how many times in a day? 3.
I wouldn't know.
3.
Okay.
They have the morning 4 a.m. If you live near a mosque, I think it's 4. Okay, don't misquote me. I stand to be corrected, of course. But early in the morning, if you're near a mosque, you'll always hear that nini. And then there is one they do in the afternoon. And I think there's another one in the evening. Which even Christians, we don't pray that much, by the way. We don't pray that much.
Yeah.
But when it comes to business and finances and talking about money around the family,
They're better off.
they're better off. Indians the same way. Indians the same way. So where is it as for Christianity where mpaka there is kesha, there is, I don't know. Christianity actually at times, and that the unfortunate part now, and we have these pastors who are always getting caught up in situations. You look at them, their finances are super high, but their congregation is I
don't know what to say.
I haven't seen any Muslim elder driving a convoy of ninis. I haven't seen any Indian, religious nini doing the, that's what I'm saying. Christianity, it gets to a point where and now when we go to the Bible, we see Jesus was in a donkey, casual. There was gold during those days. He wasn't wearing any gold or anything. So I don't know. It gets to a point where you can easily get lost.
I think it's important that we mention
Yeah.
that there are actually pastors who maybe even give more than they get in their service. Let's just mention that and put it out of the way. So there are.
Okay.
So that we don't, speak in a tunnel way.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, we have to ask ourselves, do we really need more churches?
No. At this point, Rwanda actually said now. Oh, actually, you heard what Rwanda Kagame did. For you to start practicing, like, just the whole pastor thing, having a big congregation. You need to be certified so that they know your intention is not money.
There was a time I was passing by a certain, rural road, kwa kijiji to somewhere, and I saw a church. Sort of, it is operating from something that is supposed to be a shop. So you can imagine how small the space is. Then they put a very big speaker outside.
Yeah.
And I peeped inside, and I saw there was maybe 4 or 5 people. And I asked myself, wouldn't it be better for this guy to just go to an existing church?
Yeah, actually.
Become an associate?
Yeah.
If pastoring is really his calling, to pastor more people, what is this obsession with opening your own church?
Yeah.
Pastors, what?
Are you telling me it's not money? I mean, I think it's money. The intention is money.
It has to be.
It has to be. It's the only thing that makes sense.
You
Otherwise,
cannot convince us otherwise.
Yeah. It's the same way we see people, like, the Kenyan thing. You've opened an M-Pesa shop here. Your neighbor says, like, hey, there's traffic for people here. Ata mimi M-Pesa shop. Another one, the same thing. So I think that's what's happening also with churches. And now it gets to a point where it dilutes, like, what, like, Christianity is supposed to be, especially, like, in the country, because now people know they can get away with tax exemptions, with so many other different things. If
Even
I'm
money
receiving
laundering.
money, first of all, if we get to money, a lot of churches are doing money laundering.
True.
That's just for starters. If you didn't know, that's actually a thing. And I think at times people are so innocent because you do truly believe. But now there's somebody who's messing, like, with finances, diluting the religion as we're speaking, all those things. Like, how comes in other religions we don't see all these two crazy characters? People, like, people getting healed from being a cripple and walking. I haven't seen it in in Islam. I haven't seen it in Hindu. I haven't seen it in...
I'm a Christian.
It only happens from blind, to turn somebody from being blind to see. And then they ask you, like, what ini? And they say Fanta, and they've never seen how Fanta looks like. Hey, let me tell you something. Christianity, it's just something that, and that's what I'm saying, like, you would step in so many toes because people truly believe. Like the Mackenzie guy who's being charged now, he told people to go to the wilderness, starve themselves to death. There's actually a lady who was working for KQ. She left her job, packed, went with a kid, and they went to the wilderness.
I think we need to tell people what you believe in is really critical.
Very.
Don't just believe in anything.
Very.
Don't just take beliefs from people.
Yeah.
Take your time at least. Otherwise, it's going to mess you up big time.
It's very tricky, and it's just one of those things at times, like, because when you see people doing that, you're like, have they been possessed? And then again, I'm like, no. These are just normal people. But I think also now you tie it with and you tie it with poverty. People can easily be manipulated. Because now you have people who, like, and I've even seen people in general, and it's not even like middle class people, who would say, I'm praying to God that one day anipatie like millions and nini, and this person never works hard. They're the laziest person, Even just like a lot of people who you would hear, like, just in general, they don't wake up to attempt to do something. Because also, like, we have, like, now, I don't know, people have just given up. They don't want to try. But they're always praying. They're saying, like, I know God will bless me one day. But you want those blessings as you're working. You have to meet him halfway. True. You have to meet him halfway. You can't just say, like, you're chilling and you want God to bless you. How? He'll bless you and then you won't even know what to do with the blessings that he's sending your way. So you have to understand. Put in work. But religion is so sensitive.
It's very sensitive.
Once you start thinking about things, you're like...
I know some people are going to watch me in this nini.
And be like, wewe, He's a friend of mine. Maybe if he sees this podcast, he said he doesn't believe in religion anymore. But I don't blame him. It's because of, like, he sends, like, articles and all these two funny incidents that are happening. And then I tell him, like, okay, now I understand. we've been traumatized. So many different things that are happening and they don't make any sense. But let people just believe what they believe. But otherwise, as we call him, like in the WhatsApp group, we call him devil worshipper. Because I'm like, you just can't say you don't believe in anything. Pick something at least. There has to be like a higher being that created like everything that's in existence. Maybe, and I don't want to say like there has to be, because there are other people also don't believe as well. So also them, I have to respect them as well. We also have people who believe in animals.
Let me tell you,
I also have to respect that as well.
I had a friend from Germany.
Yeah.
And I was, when she came to Kenya, I was sort of taking her to different places and whatnot. And at some point, the conversation on religion came up. And she was so intrigued to know that I actually think there's a supreme being that cares enough for me on a blue planet in the middle of a galaxy.
Oh my God.
In the middle of the supernova, in the middle of the observable. Have you seen how big that is?
Yeah.
And she was so shocked. So what do you believe in?
Yeah.
She said she believes in the scientific whatever. And I tried hard to convince her. And in the end, she told me, oh, okay.
Yeah, because she's like, where is this even
She's
going?
grown up never, ever having believed in...
And that's the craziest part, because I remember, like even last year, I had the privilege to go to Germany as well. Like when we were doing like a Euro trip thing. I don't remember seeing a church anyway.
No church.
And we went to different parts of Germany. Now to think of it, even people who were there with, like they can attest, we couldn't see like any. Like you go to like they're looking for, because like you can look for things to do, like maybe, but you won't see like, so there's always, you'll see a cross somewhere. In the map, you wouldn't see anything like that. Because, Africans, maybe you would say like, okay, we've had fun, how we are as Africans. Like, see, Sunday we can do like, maybe, even if somewhere you can go and just say like a prayer, Evie, and then go back to your fun. I didn't see church anyway.
I'm not sure that's a good thing.
Especially, actually, considering like we did Euro trip, I can't remember seeing, did I see a church in... No, and even some places were outskirts, and we were doing tours. In where did we see church where we went? Was it in Italy? Italy or Monaco?
There must be some old...
It was in Monaco, and it was the big cathedrals. Now even like now you see the Saint whatever, Saint Nini. I remember because that's the one place that now we're taking like even on tour, and we were shown like the big churches and shown like the popes. And then they just gave us like a speech about like all those religious yeah, kind of. And it was just now that it's deep, because now you're seeing the old structures now, and you're being told like apostle who. But the other places, I think, and even how the people move there, you just see it. They don't really believe.
There's an interesting thought I had the other day, where I realized when we think of the future, we think there's not going to be religion.
Yeah.
But it's actually going to be worse.
Might be diluted more than, especially for Christians.
It is going to be crazy.
Christians, we don't have a line. We don't have a line that's drawn like, don't cross here. Somebody wakes up in the morning, creates something.
And they can say anything they want.
Yeah. Interpret the Bible how they want. So, I've seen people... Have you seen those clips that at times circulate? Like, there's a church, I think everyone was coming with a soda, and then the pastor opens the soda, and then they wash you with the soda to bless you.
Bro.
you see. But I'm just saying, it sounds ridiculous, but he has a congregation. Have you seen churches where people like come on Sunday? This is crazy, because these clips circulate. There's this pastor who's playing soccer in the church. And, it's like, because it's funny, but now the other pastors now who are possessed with the devil, when they're coming to try and they're playing football by the front up with the church, the pastors who are coming and trying to get the ball now, like they are overpowered with some spirit or something, and then they just fall down. And then now the main pastor is just going with the ball until he scores.
Oh, what drama is that?
I'm telling you, but the church is packed with people. The church has people.
I saw one where the pastor entered with a Prado to the pulpit.
Inside the church?
Inside the church.
Now you see.
And the church itself is a structure made from iron sheets. Hey.
He can bomb the whole church. just from his entrance. But yeah, that's what
anyway,
I'm saying.
This conversation is on
Yeah.
religion and money.
Religion and money. It still affects how people think. It might affect long-term plans. And like you said, it will sustain poverty instead of you growing.
So the takeaway is for you to separate the two.
Yeah. Yeah.
Religion is going to have very little, I think,
Yeah.
with your financial freedom.
100% right.
You're not going to get rich because you're a Christian, because there are rich Muslims,
Yeah.
there are rich atheists. So you have to understand that there are actually laws that pertain to making money, creating value, getting paid for it. They are not really tied to whatever faith you ascribe to.
True.
And sure, you can say, God is going to bless you in that avenue, but you have to be pursuing that avenue actively.
Yeah.
And with a certain understanding. There is favor, there is all that, but where are you going to get that favor if you're not doing anything?
You have to. And I think now we're in a place where it's confusing because the economy is bad. We don't have jobs in the country. But, and how many people do you just know in general who are confused because they studied, they expected work to be there, they can't get the jobs and they've given up. There are so many people who are there. And especially I feel bad for especially I think because I'm a millennial, I feel bad for Gen Z because it's so confusing because somebody studies and most of them are always certain if I finish school, I have good grades, and I finish campus, I'm supposed to have a good paying job. And then even let's say you've studied journalism. And most of media houses are just hiring celebrities nowadays.
True.
Nani has gone viral. Put them in that position. You studied the Easters, how many years?
4 years.
You did masters. You've done what? You can't even just get a small nini. And I think that the best thing about social media, it's expanded us. It's given us a platform and opportunity of just go and be great. Do something with yourself. Because if you're waiting for the job market to rescue you, it might never work in your favor. So, I mean, of course, for those ones who are lucky enough to be in those positions, we can't discredit them. But we all know, social media has also made us, given us great opportunities.
I think a point I want to add on that is when you're successful, you have to recognize that there is an aspect of luck to your success. And that understanding will give you the wisdom to know that when you see someone struggling, it is not entirely their fault. It is not because they didn't do something or are not doing something sometimes. And you as well, it gives you the humility to know that whatever position, whatever level you're living at, it is also not fully ascribed to what you've done in the past. It is not because of your degree, it is not because of your umejituma sana. Sometimes there's that aspect, not sometimes, there's always that aspect of luck that you need to always recognize and acknowledge.
True. So now I know, our conversation clearly can go for hours. And I think I don't want the memory card to just surprise us and just shut down. So first of all, thank you so much because I know I reached out randomly. But how would you say this experience was for the podcast?
This experience was wonderful. I was at a time where I was expecting, see this experience. I was asking myself, how come I've not been called to an interview?
Really?
And then the next day I get on TikTok and I see your message.
Yeah.
So very interesting, yeah.
That's nice, how just the world works around and everything. And I think also that's now takes us back to also the importance of content creation because it brings people together. Because for me, I always go out and try and look for people who are doing unique things. And I was just interesting person. Let me just, I need you on my podcast. They say yes, well and good. If they say no, well and good as well. But tell the people where they can find you, anything else that you have going on. Just feel free to, Nini, as we just wrap it up.
All right. I think I'll begin with what I have been building for a while. The name is Kuza Plus. So the whole goal with Kuza Plus is to give content creators, to give anyone who can access a smartphone, a computer, unrestricted access and permissionless access to starting a business. Normally you need to go out, find the best product, find the capital so that you can start investing in such. But on Kuza Plus, what we've done, if you are a content creator, say for example, John, who's a podcaster, you just need to go pick a product that you think aligns with your audience, pick a certain niche. So for example, he could decide to go with cameras. And then at the end of, or even within this podcast, he could plug in that link. And that link would be unique to him. So that anyone who purchases through that link would earn him a certain amount of money, which would have been provided to him before. So that's all. So I'll just encourage you, if you are working, you're trying to get a side hustle, or you are a content creator, you're trying to monetize it, go to kuzaplus.com and then click on affiliates and just register as an affiliate. And as for my content creation, my TikTok account is Kagwe. You can search for Samuel Kagwe. You're going to find me. And I hope you're going to engage with my videos and my thoughts. They're usually crazy at times, but you're just going to bear with me.
Just go and engage. Have you thought of YouTube or not yet?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. But I think I'm just going to take the step and stop procrastinating. I'm just going to take the step. Let me just say that.
TikTok is actually... The best thing about TikTok is it has this organic reach. You don't really have to attain. You do something, content that people relate to, they come and you keep growing community. On YouTube, it's actually very, very hard. Very hard. Before you grow your community. So mad props to anyone who's doing it. But, also, we have to it's just like a portfolio, diversify it a bit so that you have a different demography here, and, just grow in all directions. But thank you so much for coming to the show. And, I wish you nothing but the best. And I hope we get to do a part 2 as well.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you too.
You're welcome. The Kisscapades podcast is your gateway to holistic growth and personal transformation. Together we'll unlock the secrets to living a life of health, wealth, love, and happiness. So make sure to tune in every week and join us as we explore the essence of what it means to truly thrive. And lastly, show us some love and support in our social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, basically all the social media platforms that, support podcasting will definitely be there. Even with the short clips and reels, you can find us there. And lastly, don't be shy with feedback, suggestions, or any questions that you might have in regards to the episodes or our podcast. It's the Kisscapades podcast. Goodbye.